And good evening to you, and welcome to the CBU's 56th Annual General Assembly being held here in Barbados, and the 36th Media Award Ceremony, which will be tomorrow evening. I'm Joel Ford, and with me is Pearson.
Good evening to you, Joel, and good evening to all of you who are watching across the world, literally, because the Caribbean Broadcasting Union sends the message out to not just those in the region, but those in the Tri-State area as well. And to all of you, we say welcome to what we believe will be a magnificent evening of the celebration of the contribution of our journalists and print media and other practitioners in the media as well.
Yes, it is. And if you've never been to a CBU Annual General Assembly, it is a lot of work, it is a lot of conference, there's a lot of talking, but there's also a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. I've been to the last couple. I went to Belize, and I also did Antigua and Tobago, and there are wonderful opportunities to network with journalists and media practitioners from across the region, and we discuss serious issues. But right now, over the last year, Pearson, we've lost some very close media practitioners, not only across the region, but here in Barbados as well.
Yes, we have. And so we want to reflect on them and their contribution, and we want to do that reflection with you now.
And Pearson, it always reminds us of the caliber of journalists and media integrity that we've lost. We saw Alvin Toppin, who was a well-known radio DJ here in Barbados. We also saw Barbara Gill, who was a phenomenal investigative journalist out of Jamaica. We saw Ricky Singh, Jones P. Madeira. And it reminds us that we've lost significant media people in the last year, but also that they're the young ones coming up, and they've been great in terms of doing training and mentoring.
People who have brought us stories told from the corner where you live. And so lest we forget, we thought we should spend some time to remember them and to really memorialize their contribution to our lives by their input through their work, whether it's in print, storytelling, on the radio, or simply being a DJ who entertains us in our spaces wherever we are. But we want to now shift our attention, because I know this is also a celebration of all of the work of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, and bring into our sphere a young man who is now the newly president of, come in, Anthony Green. Anthony Green is with us.
I think when you said a young man, he wasn't sure you meant him.
But I met him. Anthony Green, the president of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union. Good evening to you, Anthony.
Wonderful, good evening. How are you?
I am doing well. I trust you are too.
Yeah, I am good too.
It's a busy moment in time for you. Let's talk a little bit about media in the Caribbean, and from where you sit in the chair of the president, what you see to be the challenges that media in the Caribbean are met with.
Well, I think the challenges that we talk about very often has to do with technology. But there are also opportunities when we speak about technology as well. The fact remains is that we have to be in a position, though, to ensure that we take advantage of the benefits that technology offers us. In reality, we do have a situation where we compete with big tech, and that provides a challenge for us in the Caribbean, and we need to continue to look at that. The challenges are many, but we have to also recognize that our Caribbean media protects our indigenous identity, our Caribbean identity, who we are. We tell our own stories. We cannot wait for others to tell our stories. And we have done well over the years. Many media stalwarts have been instrumental in ensuring that Caribbean stories are told, and that is something that we are determined not to lose.
Media houses in the Caribbean continue to be challenged by funding, especially for upgrades by equipment and so forth. What reports have been coming to you about the challenges there as it relates to being relevant today by way of technology?
Yeah, that is so across the region, but across the world as well. Funding is a big topic. The reality, though, is that the business of media is a conversation we must have. That's one of the conversations we're having at this year's CBU AGA. Now, we all want good media. We want good journalism. It's important for our democracies to thrive. But at the end of the day, financial viability is a prerequisite to good media and good journalism. And therefore, the business of media, how we are funded, is a conversation that we all must have. The viability of media, the role of media, is it really that important to our Caribbean societies? Of course it is. It means then that it's just not a matter of media fizzling away as something that is old and just being replaced with something that's new, because of the role, the robust role that media plays in maintaining our Caribbean societies. And therefore, if that is so, if you agree that is so, then we've got to talk about the business of media. Media has helped our economy to thrive throughout the years, whether it's businesses using our media space, our airwaves, the newspapers and so on, to be able to communicate to people, for the business community being able to demonstrate and share messages to people as well. So there are many ways in which we already have that relationship, yes. And I think we need to continue to ensure that media lives on for the betterment of our Caribbean society.
I see shaping up behind us, the parade of lights is about to begin, but I want to ask you one quick question. The theme this year is Caribbean media and the orange economy. Why?
Yeah, because really and truly, first of all, the media is very much a part of the creative industries. We contribute to the economy. The orange economy, meaning the creative industries, also contribute in a robust way, and the idea is to unpack that. And to be able to take that seriously is something that we across the Caribbean have in common when you talk about the music, the arts. We are celebrating Cari Festa. Indeed. The Caribbean, yes. Arts and song and dance and all that goes along with that will be on showcase, but not for a moment though. We don't want it to be just for a moment. We want to see how media and creative arts can work together to ensure we understand all that the orange economy can contribute to our Caribbean societies.
With that said, exciting times ahead in the Caribbean, indeed, for the media. And so, Anthony, I want to thank you so much. Anthony Green, President of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union. And well done, sir.
Sure, thank you.
All right, you're welcome, my brother. And of course, you know, in just a moment, we'll get the parade of flags as we begin the annual general meeting and general assembly, really, of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union here. But let's take a look at something else that brings you to Barbados.
to bear back, and of course we're looking forward so much to hosting Carry Fest. This is our third time.
Yes.
1981, and then we had 2017, and now our third time in 2025, which promises to be bigger and better than ever. Now we're looking forward to the Parade of Nations and the flags. You were giving me a short lesson in the Cadet Corps of the Barbados Defense.
Which is so rich, honestly, because they've got a young cadre of people who are themselves so engaged in so many other avenues of endeavor once they've joined the Barbados Cadet Corps and being trained by the Barbados Regiment as well. They're now able to not just be sea cadets, land cadets, but explore cyber technology and how we can protect our borders using cyber technology. Medical skills as well are honed in the Barbados Cadet Corps. There's so much happening there, and so young people are encouraged across the region in your respective territories to join your respective corps as well. Behind me there's a panelist who's playing some sweet, sweet music. I know you recognize a lot of it as well.
Yes, he is.
Hashim Durant is his name, and he hails from the Eastern Parish of Barbados, but he is known as Hash the Pan Man. And so as he beats his pan, he keeps us entertained as people begin to arrive for the annual General Assembly, the opening thereof of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union.
And with us, just joining us, is Sheena Warner Edwards, and she is
Hello,
the
Sheena. Come right in.
communications officer for the Healthy Coalition. Hello, Sheena.
Hello. Yes, good evening.
Tell us a little bit about the Healthy Coalition for those who are not aware of the organization.
So the Healthy Caribbean Coalition is a civil society organization, an umbrella organization of about 80 plus members, 85, the last count, of other civil society health NGOs across the entire Caribbean. So we're talking about the Cancer Society, Diabetes Associations, heart foundations and associations, cervical cancer, those specific NCDs that we've been hearing so much about that are plaguing the Caribbean. Yeah, so what we do a lot of communication work with respect to NCDs, a lot of advocacy and campaigns. I'm hoping that most people would have seen most of our campaigns utilize social media, television, radio, print especially, and that's why we're here tonight.
You sponsor your organization sponsors several of the media awards. Why did you feel the need to sponsor those awards?
Yeah, so definitely for us, we recognize the media as an important vehicle in terms of getting the messages out. We've tried many different channels before, and we've realized the strength of the media. So we thought, we should invest more in the media instead of, putting our money behind our mouths. And that came about. We started to speak with the CBU about the partnership, and then it blossomed. So we started first in one category, and that has grown. Now we are doing 2 category sponsorships, and then we've also supported the travel for one of the delegates this year.
What has been the results of that sponsorship and those media awards? Are you seeing more journalists and more media entering into those specific?
Oh, definitely. So the category is healthy nutrition food policy. And what we've seen is a lot of investigative type of work, which is what we want. We want persons, especially the media, to dive in, get into the issues behind NCDs. Why are we seeing it? Where it's proliferating, the prevention activities that are happening across the region. And the media has been able to do that. So we've seen major growth. This year, I think we had about 17 entries. Yes, and it was hard to whittle down then to the final entry, the final winner, which you will hear tonight.
What are you hoping as you continue to spread this message across the region about good health and investing? What are you hoping to do in terms of moving a little further along?
So it's 2-pronged. We want that the policymakers, implement those policies that will create an environment that would assist persons to make the healthier choice, the first choice. And then we want the individuals as well to, get up, get active, look at cost-effective ways of eating healthy, moving, investing in programs. We've heard recently of several family-related kind of programs where families are actually exercising together. They're using apps, so using the digital technology to getting the exercising and shopping together and that kind of thing.
Well, thank you very much, Sheena. We will expect to hear more from you on tomorrow night when the awards are given out. We'll see how Healthy has done. Thank you so much. That's Sheena Warner there from the Healthy Coalition Caribbean. We are now seeing the arrival of the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Amor. As usual, she is followed with her entourage, and the media is following her.
Good evening. And in typical Prime Minister style, she's greeting everyone. She makes her way in. She's also followed by the Honourable Wilfred Abram, Minister of Home Affairs and Information Broadcasting. And he's accompanied also by Anthony Green, President of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union. She enters what is ballroom number 2, the Needham's ballroom number 2. And there's several ballrooms here at the Hilton Hotel this wonderful evening. And so folks are standing as we take you inside to get a sense of what's happening with the arrival of the Prime Minister. What we did see in a moment is Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, His Excellency David Comishong, who's standing in his green.
And we saw the Minister of Information, the Honourable Wilfred Abrams.
In the second pew, the lady in yellow, Alison Leacott, Dr. Alison Leacott, Most Honourable Dr. Alison Leacott, having received a national award. She heads up the Barbados Broadcasting Authority, but she also heads the National Training Initiative in Barbados as well. But let's get ready for the parade of nations, and the flags are coming in to the beat of the drummers of the Barbados Defence and Cadet Corps Band. First in, and as things would happen, the flag hooks. He's a little too tall, I suppose. These things happen.
But we start with
the flag of Barbados led in.
And then we have Anguilla,
Antigua,
Aruba, the Bahamas, Barbados led, Belize, Bermuda, British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands,
Colombia, Cuba, Curacao, and Dominica are also represented here. As we see, first up, as you on your screen at the moment, the flag of Barbados being carried proudly by a member of the Barbados Cadet Corps. And there are 26 or so flags that are going to be hoisted, as well as the flag of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union. And more coming through. And these are all member territories of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union. So too is Grenada, Guyana, and Jamaica.
And then we have Montserrat, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Turks and Caicos, and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
And these flags are absolutely beautiful to behold. Who doesn't love their own flag?
You know what it is for me? It is the splendor of the uniforms of the Barbados Cadet Corps.
Indeed so.
They are, I mean, really, that color really stands out. It is lovely.
They're wearing the national colors, and they're actually wearing every symbol on the Barbados flag itself. The broken trident being proudly worn on their chests. You can see it there in black indeed, but the blue colors and the ultramarine colors really, and the gold tunics worn by the members of the Cadet Corps, proudly worn indeed. And so there they are on the stage, proudly representing and carrying the flags of the member nations of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union. Remember, this is the 56th Annual General Assembly, which started yesterday.
Yes, it did. It started yesterday with a tour. They did several iconic places in Barbados, and I happened to be here for a rehearsal earlier today, Pearson, and everybody said what a wonderful experience it was, how much they enjoyed it.
But who doesn't love to come to Barbados,
I
right?
know, right?
Indeed, so and so much else is still to happen. There are interplenaries and so forth. And then tomorrow evening is the big gala awards ceremony with dinner, of course. And so all the delegates who are here are practitioners in the media, and they are excellent practitioners in the media. And so their work will be celebrated in a very big way tomorrow. We've had the conclusion of the Parade of Flies as each member of the Cadet Corps takes time to insert it into their respective stands, and then eventually they'll do their retreat from the stage as well. General managers, chief executive officers, other members of the media are all assembled here.
We're seeing media influencers as well, because they are now a very important part of the media fraternity as we know it.
Indeed so. They help to shape the news you receive. Citizen journalists basically are here. And so we want to be able today, on tomorrow as well, to recognize their contribution to what we know. They help to gather the news, to share the news. And in a sense, Joel, that challenges traditional media to stay relevant and on time.
Yes, it does. And I think at first traditional media fought against it a little bit, but then they also realized how that helped them of being able to reach their audience.
The songbird Jane Small to render the Barbados national anthem.
From which all pride is sprung. history's page with expectations great. Street guardians of our heritage, firm craftsmen of our faith.
Absolutely beautiful. Jane Small, operatic voice, but she also sings jazz. She has such a range. She can sing just about anything. Jane is a member of, I know, the Barclay Singers because she sings with me in the Barclay Singers, but she also performs in a number of other spaces as well. And she's so highly sought after, not even yet in her 30s, but in huge demand, trained at the Barbados Community College as well, in voice.
They have such an amazing music. A lot of that is thanks to Roger, who has really shown us the width and breadth of what music, what our young people. It is phenomenal.
Indeed. So you're getting the view, folks, of the beauty of the wear of the costumes worn by the members of the Barbados Cadet Corps. And they are absolutely beautiful indeed in this very relatively small ballroom, but a big one packed with powerful people who make a difference to our lives every single day. And so in a moment, we'll be getting on with the proceedings.
Yes, we will, and we'll be handing over to the MC who is on stage, Mr. Crispin Hackett. So we'll see you in just a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Wilfred Abrams, Minister of Home Affairs and Information, Ambassadors, Senator Dr. the Honorable Chantal Monroe-Knight, Minister, Division of Culture, Prime Minister's Office, other members of the Senate, Mrs. Wendy Odell, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs and Information, Mr. Eric Fault, UNESCO Caribbean Representative, overseas delegates, Chairman of Statutory Boards, Heads of Government Offices, Ms. Sonia Gill, CBU Secretary General, Mr. Anthony Green, CBU President, other CBU officials, Mr. Christopher Laird, 2025 CBU Hall of Fame awardee, our global viewers on live stream, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm Crispin Hackett, your Master of Ceremonies for this fantastic evening of pomp and pageantry, and welcome to beautiful Barbados for the 56th Annual General Assembly of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union. Now, let me just say 56 years is no small thing. Some organizations are slowing down, complaining of back pain, and misplacing their reading glasses, but not the CBU, no. We are sharper than ever and standing tall and still making history. Barbados is proud to host you, and while we promise serious discussions, decisions, and strategy, we also promise sunshine, good food, and maybe just enough rum to make the minutes of the meeting really interesting. So buckle up, it's going to be a meaningful, memorable, and even a little mischievous 56 AGA. At this time, I'd like to invite a gentleman who is a senior executive with 24 years experience in broadcast and print media. He currently is the general manager at Starcom Network, Inc., the leading broadcasting company in Barbados with 4 radio stations. Prior to his appointment as general manager, he held the post of programming content manager from 2016 to 2021. He also serves as a director on the boards of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, Energy Technologies, Inc., and Pearls Dance Academy. He is particularly passionate about media as a powerful agent of transformation. He also believes in leadership and the leadership ethos of empowering people to make a positive difference in our world. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the president of the CBU, Mr. Anthony Green.
The Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Wilfred Abrams, Minister of Home Affairs and Information, Senator Dr. the Honorable Chantal Monroe-Knight, Minister of the Division of Culture in the Prime Minister's Office, other members of the Senate, Ambassador of Colombia to Barbados, Her Excellency Elizabeth Taylor Jay, and other ambassadors, Chair of the Barbados Broadcast Authority, the Honorable Dr. Alison Leacock, OR, and chairs of other statutory boards. Mrs. Wendy Odell, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs and Information, heads of other government offices, UN Resident Coordinator for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Mr. Simon Springett, UNESCO Caribbean Head of Office and Regional Representative, Mr. Eric Fault, 2025 CBU Hall of Fame awardee, Mr. Christopher Laird, Advisory Board Member of the Center for Media Integrity for the Americas, Mr. David Adams, Executive Director of the Grenada Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Pettifer Lewis, President of the World Association for Christian Communication, Mr. Embert Charles. Good evening, and a warm CBU welcome to those of you gathered here in person, and of course, many of you joining us due to modern media from the Dutch, English, French, and Spanish Caribbean. I'm Anthony Green, and as President of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, I am honored that you have joined us in my home country of Barbados for the 56th Annual General Assembly. This year, we focus on the timely and important theme, Caribbean media and the orange economy. And for the purpose of this brief address, I'm using the definition found in a 2013 IDB report, which says the orange economy encompasses the immense wealth of talent, intellectual property, interconnectedness, and of course, cultural heritage of the Caribbean region. And we have a rich heritage in the Caribbean region, don't we? Our choice of theme was not just prompted by the fact that Barbados is also hosting the region's biggest arts and culture festival, CariFesta, beginning 3 days from now. And to those of you who are coming for CBU and staying for CariFesta, thank you. Well done. But our choice of theme is also because the CBU has always and continues to take very seriously the business and economic side of our sector. You see, very often we speak about media in terms of coverage, and there's a lot that we analyze that comes through traditional media. But one of the things that we have to definitely give attention to is the business of media. Good journalism, good media work is critical for our Caribbean democracies. However, financial viability is a prerequisite for good media work and good journalism. And Caribbean artists and creatives and media professionals are driven by the talents with which they are blessed, as well as the desire to contribute to their societies at home and in the diaspora. But we are not just interested in the outcome, we have to pay attention to the income, or if it makes you more comfortable, the funding. And there's a lot of potential income in the creative industries. According to an ODI Global publication in December 2024, the orange economy contributes approximately 3.1% to global GDP, generating $4.3 trillion in revenue and nearly 50 million jobs. Right here in Barbados, having just ended our crop over season, our Calypsonians and soca artists have earned revenue through the music licenses issued for a fee to the many entertainment events. That's possible because most of our countries are parties to international treaties on intellectual property rights. We've signed on to those agreements in recognition of and respect for the economic worth of created works. So these next 2 days are an opportunity to demonstrate that respect and see how we can enjoy some of the Orange economy sweets. Tonight, we're honored to have leading the charge Barbados' Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, no stranger to the business of entertainment and the arts. And tomorrow, we'll also listen keenly to expert and experienced presenters such as the Honorable Minister of Information, Mr. Wilfred Abrams. And we are looking forward to his presentation, given the special day he said it is. I'm very glad that he can join us. Also, the Governor of the Central Bank of Barbados, Dr. Kevin Greenidge. And during the awards gala, we'll hear from Minister in the Prime Minister's Office with responsibility for culture, Senator Dr. Chantal Munro Knight. Just as critical to this discussion, and I must say the artists and artisans important to this discussion of the orange economy, it's a particular pleasure to have as a partner tomorrow the Caribbean Culture Fund, who is also one of the category sponsors in tomorrow night's awards gala. Great to have you on board. As the President's report reflects, all 28 pages, this has been a busy year for our small but impactful organization. The CBU's focus since it last met in Assembly in Belize in August 2024 has been on one of the urgent priorities of our time: freedom of media and safety of journalists. These issues are being highlighted in daily headlines, and we are honored to have been a leading voice in the region on this issue, even when it meant a tangible cost to the institution. We've been partnering in this effort with UNESCO Caribbean. Thank you for being by our side in this regard. The Public Media Alliance has also been a strategic partner in this regard, and the Committee for Protection of Journalists in building capacity of our media institutions and professionals in building to mitigate, that is, the very real risks that they face every day when they go out to tell us what is happening so that we can make sound decisions, come up with solutions to live in our Caribbean societies. And we are grateful to have as well the new director of UNESCO Caribbean, Mr. Eric Fault, here with us for this assembly. We are pleased to welcome Mr. David Adams, Advisory Board Member from the Center for Media Integrity of the Americas, who will be making a major announcement at tomorrow night's gala about additional support for media freedom in the Caribbean. The other issue that has occupied the CBU significantly is the prime existential and ongoing threat to the small, vulnerable countries and territories of this region. Those two C words: climate change. One highlight of our activity this year was again through partnership with the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction and UNESCO. In mid-February, for World Radio Day, we produced under the coordination of Dr. Yvonne Weeks, OE, a radio program, Disaster Matters, well received, which featured artistic expressions, poems, and short stories about experiences of Caribbean people in the face of natural hazards. That innovative and impactful project was an excellent example of the critical role of the creative sector partnering with the media in addressing the vital issues of our region. It was also a great demonstration of the continued relevance of legacy media. We're in a time when we almost believe large language models also known as AI, are substitutes for human expertise. For some, ChatGPT is a lifesaver. And social media. Some of us believe that social media are all the media that we'll ever need. CBU believes that through legacy media, Blue Fields in Panama can nurture its historical and familial links to Blue Fields, Jamaica. Through legacy media, Caribbean people striving to better their lives in metropoles far from home can stay in touch with the news and current affairs of their home villages and towns. And we see this even through the same technology that we speak about. Once upon a time, just to put a plug here, once upon a time, when the radio was off the airwaves, the phone would light up. You're off the air, we can't hear you, what's happening? Now when the internet is down, let me tell you, the phone goes crazy. People continue to listen and watch and pay attention to what we're doing over the internet. Through legacy media, young and old, rural and urban gather virtually to cheer on their supporting champions. Through legacy media, state administrations are held accountable, but they also can demonstrate responsiveness to the key priorities of citizens. These are just some of the lessons why, in its nearly 55-year history, CBU has consistently advocated for legacy media, print, radio, and television, and their offshoots into digital spaces. To the peoples of the Caribbean, our indigenous media, no matter the technological platform they use, remain a critical part of the process of advancing our development, whether social, cultural, political, or economic. So I'll say, let us adopt new technologies, yes. And sometimes you speak as though this is something new. But I work at a place where they speak about the radiofusion box that was in the corner in the living room. And Starcom Network celebrates 90 years this year. And if you start a conversation about that box, there are so many awesome stories about those days. But now, we listen to radio in the car, and as I said, we listen to radio online. So we have been adaptable over many years to the technological advances. So let us continue to adopt that. Let us upgrade our formats. Let us give credence to new ways and thinking in our Caribbean media sector. But let us not abandon homegrown, public service-driven Caribbean media. We can talk about the external multinationals. They're no substitute for what we have built. We'll tackle that another time. But let me say that again. They're no substitute for what we have built. That's a whole lot to unpack. As you look at the in memoriam segment, you're reminded that young and old, we have been blessed with some of the finest media talent in the world right here in our region. If anything I've said in this welcome address resonates with you or triggers a desire to debate, well, that's precisely what I'm hoping for. And I look forward to a robust discussion. Constructive critique, as well as outlining of solutions, even as we celebrate the best of Caribbean content and creators over the next couple of days. But we are going to see it in tremendous fashion tremendous glow at CariFesta as well. We are truly grateful that you are here. So again, I say welcome to the CBU 56th Annual General Assembly.
In the Caribbean, we are 1/6 love away from turning a stranger to a brethren. There is something about this region that got a special something. Where, despite coming from different households, we all got the same upbringing. We all know what it's like to have a mother shouting, "Don't let the street lights come on, I'll find you outside." And as a child, we would hate it. How the neighborhood would hug us in concern as night embraced the curb we would play on. But eventually a day comes where we will give anything to hear our mother quarrel about that street light again. As Caribbean people, we know loss. We know strong winds on a first name basis and the cost of being well acquainted with our summer visitors that visit us uninvited in our living room with violence on their breath. Where every inhale pushes us further in hell, where all is left is they go to the door frame and a survivalist frame of mind. To be Caribbean is to survive despite the odds. To pack a punch above your weight, to bob and weave under depth and disaster like a choreographed dancer moving to the rhythm of resistance. But here, we two-step to the beat of resilience every time we touch that world stage. And nobody can say that a Caribbean man don't perform. We are a masterclass demonstration in transformational reform. The map of our identity is constantly being redrawn, and it's not inked in the red bottom lines. No. It's being inked in community values, sketched into policy, traced onto the outline of the average man. To be Caribbean is to overcome under any circumstance. It's also to palace Jones and push back up on the fence and enjoying the time we spend with one another. Because that is the greatest expense that you can truly have. An investment in virtues is the true definition of securing the bag. And we might not be the richest region in the world, but there's no financial figure that can measure the worth of our human resource. And maybe that's why I said in the beginning that we all come from different households, but we got the same upbringing. We all had a childhood where for some strange reason, certain curtains will only appear around Christmas. And before we even can learn proper math, we can somehow calculate the distance of what go over yonder there means. We might speak different patois and dialects, but we all talk in the same Caribbean. We're fluent in falling off a sofa wrapped in plastic. We speak in a bright fruit, gully rose kind of language. And if you're from about here, you're not going to understand it. How we got rum shot philosophers with wisdom soaked in whiskey and bad decisions. We gather around and listen to them tell light-hearted tales with a heavy heart. And I say this to say, all of you in this room play a part in shaping that Caribbean narrative. Every radio slot thickens the plot. Every broadcast is a barrel shipped to the diaspora, proof that no matter how far we scatter, the signal will still reach. All of our antennas are tuned to the same sea breeze, connecting Bridgetown to Belize and Port of Spain to the Portmore Picnics. You have been the reason why we have been visible. Long before social media made us viral, you've been vital in providing us with a voice. You've been the fishermen of our frequencies, casting a net to pull people from every single shore. Your ideas of unity surf on the airwaves, crashing into our homes, washing away any inferiority complex, making sure that our idea of a Caribbean identity isn't determined by European context. Because there's no greater threat to a man than to not know himself. I want to make sure that we know who he is, even if we don't know nothing else. So I praise you. I acknowledge your service and your commitment to showing up to work every single day. Even at the crack of dawn during thunderstorms, you soldier on in the call of duty. I truly give you your praise. I give you your flowers, picked from a garden of gratitude, grown for over 56 years, so they can bloom on this very day. I give you your praise for showing us that the Caribbean ain't just geography, but it's family. Family of sister islands, twin mountains, and brother in arms who all understand what it means when that street light comes on. You don't let it catch you outside. And through your efforts, you gave us something to read, something to watch, and something to listen to every time we come inside. And for that, I give you your praise.
Wow, after that powerful spoken word, I don't know about you, but I feel like snapping my fingers, writing a poem, and then immediately questioning all my life choices. Well, that's the power of art. It shakes us, inspires us, and sometimes even makes us wonder if we should have paid more attention in English class. But inspiration is exactly what we are here for today. From the rhythm of words to the rhythm of nations, we now shift from poetry on stage to vision on the global stage. And who better to carry that vision than UNESCO? I now invite a gentleman who has served as the director of the UNESCO office for the Maghreb and UNESCO representative in Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Mauritania, and Tunisia. He also held senior level appointments at the UN, including as the director of the UNESCO New Delhi office. He also served as the Assistant Director General for External Relations in Public Information at UNESCO headquarters in Paris. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the current UNESCO Regional Director for the Caribbean, Mr. Eric Fald.
Honorable Mia Amor-Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, Honorable Wilfred Abrahams, Minister of Information, Honorable Dr. Chantel Monroe-Knight, Minister of Culture, Mr. Anthony Green, President of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, distinguished CBU members, members of the Diplomatic Corps and UN colleagues, dear Simon, ladies and gentlemen, it is certainly a privilege to join you this evening, and I thank you very much, Anthony and the entire CBU team, for the invitation to address you so early in my tenure in the region. On behalf of UNESCO, I bring warm greetings and sincere congratulations on yet another milestone gathering of the region's leading media. Allow me at the outset to congratulate the CBU on becoming the very first organization in the Caribbean to gain official status with UNESCO as an NGO officially partner. This is not just a badge of honor. It offers you a seat at the global table. I'm sure it will offer you a stronger, direct voice in shaping cultural and media policy worldwide. And the world needs to hear the Caribbean's voice even more. The theme that you have chosen this year, Caribbean media and the orange economy, could not be more timely. Around the world, the orange economy, the economy of creativity, culture, and innovation, is one of the fastest growing drivers of jobs and prosperity. Here in the Caribbean, it's not a luxury, it represents a lifeline. the music you produce, the festivals you broadcast, the documentaries you create, the theater and dance that you capture, all of this fuels not just culture, but commerce. It is the heartbeat of identity and the engine of development. This same orange economy will be one of the top issues discussed at Mondiacult next month in Barcelona in Spain. For those who don't know, Mondiacult is the largest world gathering of culture ministers and specialists, now organized by UNESCO every 4 years. So CariFesta 15, opening later this week, will be, of course, a stage for celebration and strategy, but for us, it will also be an opportunity to present the goals of Mondiacult and stress how much, indeed, the orange economy can be a foundation of sustainable development. CariFesta has many objectives, and congratulations for holding it here in Barbados, but we also view it as sort of a stepping stone before Barcelona, where Mondiacult will bring the world together to chart the future of cultural policy. For the Caribbean, Mondiacult is a historic opportunity. By going united, you can ensure that the global conversation reflects Caribbean priorities: the safeguarding of heritage, fair participation in the digital economy, and recognition of culture not as a cost, but as an investment with truly limitless returns. Imagine the power of that message. It will offer you an opportunity to portray a region standing tall as a global leader in culture-driven development. That is the promise of the orange economy, and that is the opportunity before you. In the region, UNESCO is also advancing this agenda through the EU-funded Creative Caribbean program, implemented with CARICOM and the University of the West Indies. Next week, 30 Caribbean beneficiaries will present their work at the CariFesta market. This is not theory. This is reality. Entrepreneurs, artists, creators, showing how culture creates jobs, exports, and of course, pride. It is a glimpse of what a thriving orange economy looks like. But if the orange economy looks like the future, memory is its foundation. And you have a very important role to play in this regard too. Caribbean media are not just storytellers. You are memory keepers. The archives in your care, the bulletins, oral histories, festival recordings, are not simply files or tapes. They are the Caribbean's living record. Yet, too many of these treasures sit in fragile formats, often in facilities exposed to hurricanes and floods. One storm could erase decades of memory. And that is why UNESCO has partnered earlier this year, for instance, with St. Vincent and the Grenadines to strengthen disaster resilience of documentary heritage with vital support from CBU members. Preservation, however, is not only about the past. When archives are digitized and curated, they create new opportunities for education, cultural tourism, and digital content. Preservation is also production, another pillar of the orange economy. For this reason, I encourage you to submit nominations to the UNESCO Memory of the World International Register before our deadline of 30 November. Inclusion in this register protects and promotes valuable archives, ensuring that Caribbean memory is not just preserved, but also leveraged for future generations and future industries. Barbados has certainly shown the way with already an amazing 6 inscriptions on this admittedly lesser-known UNESCO register. Ladies and gentlemen, another force reshaping the orange economy and your work is artificial intelligence. AI offers unprecedented opportunities, smarter storytelling, innovative production, wider distribution, deeper audience engagement. But it also brings risks, disinformation, biased algorithms, especially when it comes to gender issues, strained business models, and the threat of smaller voices being drowned out. UNESCO is helping the Caribbean harness these tools responsibly. We have already conducted so-called RAM studies, our very own readiness assessment methodology, in 3 countries of the region, identifying strengths and gaps in AI governance and capacity. And we would be delighted to conduct the same assessment in Barbados, should the authorities wish. That is one of the discussions I hope to have here this week. Our goal is clear. It is to make AI a tool for empowerment, not exclusion. That is why we have also developed the Caribbean AI Policy Roadmap, a framework to ensure that innovation serves inclusion, creativity, and fairness. In parallel, we're surveying authors and poets across the region to understand how AI is affecting livelihoods and creative work. This evidence will guide policies and investment so that technology strengthens rather than undermines the orange economy. At the same time, UNESCO is working with the CBU and partners to defend media integrity, promoting press freedom, supporting sustainable financing, expanding fact-checking capacity, and strengthening training in data journalism, especially for disaster risk reporting. Because in this age of disruption, credibility is currency. Let us speak frankly here. Journalists are under attack worldwide. Harassment, intimidation, violence, even killings. We have not seen such extremes in the region, but we must remain vigilant. That is why UNESCO has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Caribbean Court of Justice to reinforce legal protections for freedom of expression, to counter abusive litigation, and to equip justice systems for the digital challenges ahead. This is UNESCO's pledge to you. We will not only speak about the safety of journalists and the public's right to know, we will act concretely, systematically, and side by side with you. Because without free media, there is no democracy, and without democracy, there is no sustainable development. Colleagues, as we open this assembly together, I invite you to see your work not only as content for today, but as custodianship for tomorrow. Every interview you record, every festival you capture, every archive you preserve is a bridge to the future. If we safeguard this living heritage, if you safeguard your living heritage, it will for sure continue to inspire, teach, and generate opportunity long after we are all gone. UNESCO is proud to stand with the CBU. Together, let us ensure that Caribbean voices are not only heard today, but remembered tomorrow. Not only remembered, but celebrated. Not only celebrated, but placed at the very center of the orange economy that will shape the future of the region and the world. Thank you, and I wish you a successful assembly.
The everlasting home. Oh, it means so much. you to be caught in a rapture of glories untold for a people of the Caribbean, united in the Caribbean with one Caribbean beat. Joining musical matrimony, oh, it sounds so sweet. Holding each other in a song under the morning sun. Then our hearts will beat as one, for we're united in the Caribbean. We'll spread this love across the world and share it with every boy and girl in one body, one heart, one mind and one soul, and preach to the people in many a tongue. Oh, don't be dismayed, for they'll understand that we're people of the Caribbean, united in the Caribbean with one Caribbean beat. Joining musical matrimony, oh, it sounds so sweet. Holding each other in a song under the morning sun. Then our hearts will beat as one, for we're united in the Caribbean. And we have a task, it's to be one. So get up, stand up strong, and lift up your head and walk with pride. It's so good to be alive. Strengthen your body, your mind and soul. Spread your love, let that be your goal. Let your pride be your life as you go day and night. We'll all understand that we're people of the Caribbean, united in the Caribbean with one Caribbean beat. Joining musical matrimony, oh, it sounds so sweet. Holding each other in a song under the morning sun. Then our hearts will beat as one, for we're united in the Caribbean, united in the Caribbean with one Caribbean beat. Oh, joining musical matrimony, oh, it sounds so sweet. Holding each other in a song under the morning sun. Then our hearts will beat as one, for we're united in the Caribbean. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a magnificent anthem to our shared spirit, Caribbean unity. A resonant reminder that though the map may scatter us across waters, history and destiny insists that we move together as one. And now we ascend from melody to mastery, from chorus to conviction. It is my supreme privilege to invite to this podium a leader whose words can ignite parliaments, inspire classrooms, and let's be honest, even make Google pause to update its definitions. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados.
Thank you very much, Crispin. Distinguished guests all, I see many familiar faces in this room, and I say welcome home and welcome to those who have not yet made the wise decision of making this your home. It is my profound responsibility and a privilege to be here. I received this invitation a couple months ago, and I committed to it because I really wanted to speak with you. And I really wanted to speak with you on just a few things. Those who know me would know that I said 31 years ago, upon becoming Minister of Culture, I started a refrain that we in this region have a story to tell. And unless we tell that story, we would betray the legacy of resilience of our ancestors, but more importantly, we would undermine the capacity of our people to build a future that is reflective of our image and that is anchored by our values. And I have therefore come this evening to speak on just three quick things. Don't get nervous, I will not be long. But it is important. We have a confluence of things happening globally that are affecting us all. And the truth is that in 1991, at a CARICOM Ministers of Culture conference in Jamaica as a young senator, I remember reflecting then on something that has remained with me since. Our region is open to tourists, open to information. More information comes from outside than comes from within. And more people visit us from outside than come from within. And in those circumstances, even before there was a telephone that was not a phone box, as it was in the then 1990s, it was clear that there would be major difficulties in being able to hone the values of upcoming generations, largely because of the influence of external media and information. Little did I know that the world would move at the speed of light, and that what we thought was a problem then really is presenting itself as a tsunami now. And to that extent, it is important that we pause. But I believe that the solution that we spoke of at that meeting in Kingston, Jamaica, is as relevant then as it is now. And that is, how do we root our people? We are accustomed seeing winds and gale force winds in this region. And while the winds and the gale force winds can sometimes be devastating, we have the capacity still to see trees that withstand them, because when they bend and flow, they do not break. And the challenge for us as nation states and for our societies is, how do we root our people sufficiently that they are capable of being exposed to, but not completely undermined or influenced by those forces from outside. I speak often about the fact that the new armada and flotillas are not the things that are going to take us out with cannons that you may see on the old fort here at this hotel. It is going to be the information and indeed the ability to influence our minds. It is ironic that Sunday was the anniversary of Marcus Messiah Garvey. And in recent times, I've had cause to reflect even more, because as we renamed the amphitheater in Bridgetown, the Marcus Messiah Garvey Amphitheater, it became clear that our people really don't know enough about his teachings. And even in this country, which he visited on the 18th of October 1937, most people do not know that that most famous of his statements, popularized by Robert Nesta Marley, Emancipate Yourselves from Mental Slavery, was delivered on the 1st of October, 1937, a mere 17 days before he left Nova Scotia and came to Barbados. That is just a tidbit for you. But the point is that if we do not root our people, if we do not emancipate our minds from mental slavery, you cannot withstand the gale force winds of change and the complete state of flux that the global society finds itself in. Now, why am I saying this to you? Yes, it is the responsibility of governments. Yes, it is the responsibility of teachers. But it is equally the responsibility of those who have control of the media and the content in this region to start to play a greater nation-building role. Recognizing, yes, and we'll come to the issues of profit shortly, but recognizing that if these societies implode, where are you going to find your living? Where are you going to find your jobs? Where are you going to find your profits? And it is an amazing feature of this region that we seem not to want to reinforce the historic and cultural successes of our people, both pre-independence, pre-emancipation, post-emancipation, because that is the story of true resilience and struggle, but also the story of nation building in the early days of independence. How many programs are run in the Caribbean that tell the story of how we got where we got to as independent nations? How many stations in the region in this year of the 90th birthday of the Mighty Sparrow have done a series of Sparrow's music? How many people in this room have ever heard Sparrow perform Slave, either live or audiovisually on YouTube? Please put up your hands so people know that I'm not lying. How many people? A clear minority in the room. And yet that one song is perhaps the most masterful exposition of any song to speak about the experience of slavery, not just in terms of its content, not just in terms of its melody, but in terms of its message. And I don't blame you, because I realize that I grew up in the same household as my younger brother, who is 12 years, 2 days younger than me. And when I sing songs that I knew that my father certainly played in the house when I was young, he looks at me and wonders if that's a song from Mars. The point that I'm making is that you as broadcasters cannot only focus on profit, which you must, but you have to accept your responsibility as nation builders and preservers of memory, as Mr. Fault indicated in his speech. And I would therefore like to suggest that there be a clear declaration, agreement coming out of this 56th Assembly at Bridgetown on the eve of Carifesta 15, that you will not simply comply with laws, or don't comply in some instances, with relation to local content, but that you consciously will assume the responsibility of being the educators of our culture to our people. If not you, who? If not now, when? And the bald reality is that I chose the Mighty Sparrow, but I could as easily have spoken about the art of the region. I could easily be speaking about Irving Burgee, who wrote music that transcended almost the culture of all of the islands of the region. And because we didn't understand the power of what he did sufficiently, it becomes impossible for us to appreciate how he was such a major mover in terms of songwriting and shifting music in the 40s, 50s, 60s, not just in the Caribbean, but globally. These are the things that ought not to be the subject of a speech from a platform by a prime minister, but ought to be part and parcel of what young school children and elderly people and persons who in between the hectic business or while they're mowing lawns on a Saturday or fixing something at home, that the radio or the TV is playing. And at the end of the day, what do we gravitate to the most? Things that reflect our image and sound like us. But yet, we are not having a sufficient amplification of that in our region now. The second issue relates to our democracy. And yes, I know that your theme is on the orange economy, and clearly orange has different connotations nowadays than it did before. But it is important to recognize that if we don't have a democracy, it is going to be very difficult to talk about an orange economy. And to that extent, the importance of being able to recognize what is happening and how we counter it is absolutely essential for us to pause and understand. And what do I mean? The presence of fake news, benignly created or maliciously created, it matters not. But its capacity to destabilize individuals, communities, and countries is now very, very real. And it is critical that we adopt truth and verification mechanisms. As we have learned in this region, the price of being a small state means that we don't have the capacity to do all of the things that we want to do because we are just simply limited by size and capacity. And that is why the regional integration movement is so critical for us, because it allows functional cooperation to be able to provide for us in ways that individual national countries may not be able to do. I believe the time has come for us to have a regional truth and verification mechanism that allows us to have local nodes, but is managed at the regional level in order to get the benefit of the economies of scale, because it does not escape me that it is a pricely mechanism. For you to have someone monitor media, for you to have someone identify falsehoods and to be able to validate truth may not appear to be your first responsibility. But when you begin to understand how media can destabilize societies, as happened in Rwanda with the genocide, you better appreciate why this is not an option. You know, it has long been said that if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. And if you think this truth and validation mechanism or verification mechanism is expensive, try doing without it. We are already seeing people leaning to more sexy and sensational communication, but sexy and sensational without a factual basis. And in those circumstances, as my grandfather would say to us, if you give a lie a head start, you have hell to catch it. And even if damages are available, the damage is done. I hope that this conference at Bridgetown, I almost said even Needham's Point, recognizing that the other Needham's Point declaration is now guiding and consuming this region because it treats to the criminal justice issues and the reality that this region is distinguishing itself for things that really we ought not to be distinguishing ourselves for. But that at this meeting at Needham's Point, it is important for you to make that decision collectively, because in the absence of it, our people will continue to be victims of scurrilous allegations, scurrilous fake news, and indeed make decisions without a buttress of any kind of factual, any tissue of truth for that matter. And worse still, because of the manipulation of AI, being able to literally put words in the mouths of people on images, God knows what our world will look like 5, 10, 15 years from now if we do not take a stance to be able to have a validation mechanism. You know, Christina Amanpour, a few years ago, made a speech that stuck with me. And she said then, ironically, I think it was in the first Trump presidency, that people ask for balance all the time. But it is not about balance. It is about truth. And our ability to be able to discern and to identify truth more than ever is what matters as we go forward. I am conscious that you will be engaging in these discussions at the very time when the global giants are undermining your revenue. I am conscious that people are choosing to advertise with companies that have a global or hemispheric presence, believing that they will reach and carry them further, but at the same time, in truth and in fact, are not available to companies when they really need them to be able to tell the stories or to communicate or to advertise in a way that is definitely local as opposed to regional and global. And while we as heads of government will carry the battle to see how best we can level the playing field, the truth is that that is an uphill struggle. In the same way that the horse has already bolted the stable with respect to the negative impact of social media on our children and our teenagers, and as a result, on our mental health wellness as we go forward. We are coming to the dance late, but we must still come. And your duty as broadcasters of this region, this very, very young region, not one of the countries, with the exception of Haiti, which has its own separate discussion. But in terms of the English-speaking Caribbean, all of us are under the age of 65. And we have a responsibility now to ensure that we can run the distance and carry on what is necessary for our people to become resilient, always recognizing that because of our lack of size, we cannot hide from the rest of the world, but in being global citizens, we must be rooted with a strong Caribbean legacy and Caribbean values. And I can translate that to individual countries if you want, because the truth is that a hurricane in Grenada is not just Grenada's story, it's all of ours. Outbreaks of crime in a country in the Caribbean is just not located in one country. But equally, strong youth-led innovation in parts of the region will be owned and claimed by all of us. And I believe that our young, brilliant spoken word artist said it better than I could ever say it when he said that the Caribbean is not just geography, it is family. And if we get that, then we begin to understand why your duty here is to leave being not just the megaphone of our region, but as we heard, the preserver of our memory, recognizing that the pursuit of profit for you cannot be your only motivation, because what is at stake potentially is the future of this region, whether threatened by a climate not change but crisis, climate crisis, or whether threatened by domestic crime, or whether threatened by those factors that undermine our democracy. You are required to come to the table and play your part. As governments, we have a responsibility to make sure that you have the space to continue to tell your stories and write your stories with the integrity that you deserve. We may not always agree, but we must give you the space so to do. And this government, I believe, has tried to do so in circumstances where it has not always been the case in our past that our national broadcaster has been as available as it is. I want it to remain so. Because at the end of the day, what the battles we must face are greater externally than they are internally. And the threats to democracy are not really driven just by the changes in values locally, although that has an impact, but it is being driven by the evolution of technology, the development of unusual things in our geopolitics, and indeed by the ever-present existential crisis of the climate. If we understand this, then we understand that we need to be playing on the same team, fighting the same battles. And if we can do that, then I have every confidence that we will come through this moment in our history with success. Recognizing that those who went before may not have faced the same battles, but battles they did face, and particularly those many, many, many centuries ago with less capacity to win them than we have today. So if we start to feel for ourselves, remember them and their tribulations. And if I say that, I then end again with Akeem Chandler Prescott, because he hit a nerve when he said, long before social media was viral, you made us vital. You were the lifeblood of our region. I have another speech in me, not for tonight, but one that will speak to the very issue of the relationship between individual and state and technology and power. And part and parcel of what we are managing or not managing well is those relationships. And unless we come to grips with them, if we use a 1970s or a 1980s or a 1990s mindset to fight the battles of the third decade of the 21st century, we will not win them. And I want us to appreciate that more than ever. So my friends, I look forward to those two declarations on culture and educating our people about their culture in real ways, in real programs, on an ongoing basis, but equally in you understanding what is your role in stabilizing our democracy. I leave you with the commitment that we will continue as governments in the region to give you the space and the protection that's necessary for you to do the job, to ensure that we do not go down the slippery slope as societies, but for you equally to recognize that robust responses does not mean a deprivation of freedom of the press. And the nature of robust responses has always been a part of who we are in this region. By the same token, I recognize that we have to create opportunities that will deal with the serious loss of revenue that you are facing as a result of the consolidation of advertising and the consolidation of media buy on global platforms that simply do not see you, do not hear you, and do not feel the Caribbean presence. And if we allow you to fall, then the next one that will fall is the nation state. I want to invite you this week that even as you conclude these declarations, that you leave some energy for CariFesta. This country will host it for the third time in 52 years. And people ask, why is it important? I said, well, we have come out of an IMF program. We've come out of COVID. We've come out of hurricanes and freak storms in recent years. If ever there was a time for us to remind our people of the majesty of their civilization, of the creativity and resilience of us as a people, it is now. And if we pause to study how much these things cost, then like education, we will find that the opposite, ignorance and lack of sensitization, will be far greater in loss to us, largely because our region is unique in humanizing global civilization. And if we don't appreciate that, then we do not understand the Caribbean region. In every forum that we go, we are the ones that speak about fairness and social justice. In every forum that we go, We are the ones that speak that money should not be the only thing that can move across boundaries, but people should be able to move across boundaries with dignity, because without people moving across boundaries, and it didn't happen with dignity in our case, you wouldn't have the Caribbean civilization. And because it didn't happen with dignity, we are in a position now to say to the rest of the world that it must happen with dignity this time. And we are the people who, through ounce for ounce, pound for pound, display more creativity, more capacity, and cause the world to sit up and enjoy us wherever they find us, whether in the arts or in the sports that we engage in. And if we therefore accept that, then we accept that we have a moral responsibility in this generation to let it live and let others continue to build on this legacy. I wish this Caribbean Broadcasting Union Assembly all of the very best, and I say simply to you, take this stuff out the archives and let the people of the region see it. Thank you.
A very powerful message there as delivered by Barbados Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley. Indeed, understanding clearly the issues faced by media today and the gale force winds that still threaten us, but reassuring us that with all of that said, the governments of the Caribbean recognize the value of the media.
Agreed. I like that part where she talked about not being able to stifle the media, but have robust conversation. And I think that's very, very, very important. I think as we move forward and we see the young people getting into media, that it is in safe hands. A lot of the young ones who train at all of our media houses, they understand the work they do and the value of that work. So very, very powerful message.
Absolutely. But media leaders are also challenged with sustainability of the business, part of which is not just the acquisition of skills, but just the understanding of what it is that we're seeking to provide, and to be able to do so in a most economic way as well. And there's a man standing by who I know you can have an opportunity to talk to, who's centered around sustainability.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Cleveland Sam is the president of the Caribbean Division of the Nature Conservancy. Dr. Sam, welcome.
Thank you very much, Joel. It's good to be here again.
It is good to have you with us. Tell us a little bit about the work of the Nature Conservancy.
All right. You have an hour or two? So the Nature Conservancy is the largest non-governmental environmental organization in the world. We operate in about 77 countries around the world. And in the Caribbean, we have been working for more than 40 years, started in the U.S. Virgin Islands, in St. Croix to be precise. Currently, we operate in about 16 Caribbean countries, but we have 6 offices across the region that we service the entire region. In the Caribbean, we focus on 3 main pillars of work. And you mentioned sustainability, so let's start there. One of our major pillars of work has to do with resilience and using nature-based solutions for climate adaptation. The second pillar is oceans management and fisheries. And since I'm in Barbados, I could mention the Blue Bond that the Nature Conservancy did with Barbados about 3 years ago, which is now funding the Barbados Marine Spatial Plan. And the third focus of our work in the Caribbean is coral conservation and restoration. And that affects every Caribbean country, because you may not know, but the Caribbean actually has a significant percentage of the global reef system.
We are hearing a lot about the warming of our oceans. How is that affecting our reefs that you just talked about? And are we putting systems in place to preserve those reefs?
Excellent question. So last year was the hottest on record since record have been kept. And what has been happening to our reefs in the Caribbean is what we call bleaching. Now, I think everybody knows by now that corals are actually living organisms. And because the water is so hot, it's actually stifling the growth of the coral. Some of them, because of their resilience, they do not actually die immediately, but a lot of them has been bleached. In other words, the coral, when you look at the coral, it looks white. You know, like if we bleach a clothes, a shirt or pants. What the TNC has been doing is that we have established a robust coral restoration program right across the region. We have several coral hubs that are operating. As I said, in St. Croix has one of our largest coral hubs, and we have several across the region under a project called Coral Carib.
Okay. Dr. Cleveland Sam, so much to learn. So definitely we're going to have to come back to you at another stage and learn more about the work of the Nature Conservancy. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
It's been a pleasure. Let's go back to the stage.
Across the rhythms and spirit of this paradise. That performance wasn't just a dance, it was a heartbeat and a celebration of movement itself, bringing such energy, culture, and pure passion to the stage tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Dance in Africa. Up next, we move on to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Now, some people speak about the power of communication, others teach it. And then there are those few who actually embody it. Our next guest happens to do all three. From the Caribbean School of Media and Communication, Carrie Mack, he has been shaping both the message and the messengers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man who could probably grade me as MC tonight, Dr. Livingston White.
Thank you, Mr. Hackett. And based on your performance so far, I'm giving you an A+. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Ms. Shida Bulai, esteemed former president of the CBU and the chair of the Hall of Fame selection panel, it is my honor, in my capacity as deputy chair, to present the 2025 Hall of Fame inductees. This year's selection panel also included Mr. Gary Allen of the RJR Gleaner Communications Group in Jamaica, inductee of the Hall of Fame in 2022 and past president of the CBU. Mr. Gunnar Koeman, former manager of ATV Teleser Suriname and former member of the CBU board. And Ms. Coletta Olivier, former chief executive officer of NBC Radio St. Vincent and the Grenadines and former member of the CBU board. This year, our distinguished five-member panel convened to carefully review and deliberate on the nominations for induction into the Caribbean Media Hall of Fame. In recognition of the breadth of media that shape our societies, our considerations spanned across television, radio, print, and digital platforms. Eligibility for induction is reserved for individuals who have demonstrated exceptional accomplishment in media over a career spanning at least 2 decades. These achievements may fall within key areas such as presentation, production, engineering, marketing, and executive leadership at the national, regional, or international level. We also give due regard to contributions in policy development, planning, and research that have advanced media practice in the Caribbean, as well as advocacy that has championed the role and value of media in our region. Moreover, we honor those who, through generosity and service, have supported the work of media organizations, enriching communities and enhancing the stature of Caribbean media as a whole. Nominees must, of course, be of Caribbean origin or heritage. Most importantly, however, each inductee must embody integrity, character, and serve as an inspiration and example to emerging generations of media professionals. This year, the Hall of Fame selection panel recognizes 2 inductees for the CBU Hall of Fame. To read the citation of our first inductee, please welcome Ms. Colleen Holder, Director of Communications, Head of the Parliament Channel, Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Please, a round of applause for Ms. Holder.
Good evening. In recognition of an extraordinary lifetime of achievement in film, education, and cultural preservation, we proudly honor Dr. Bruce Paddington, filmmaker, academic, curator, and visionary. For over 5 decades, Dr. Paddington has shaped the Caribbean cinematic landscape with distinction, creativity, and unwavering dedication. A scholar and educator of international repute, Dr. Paddington played a significant role in the establishment of the Bachelor of Arts film program at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, in collaboration with Dr. Botiwari, Dr. Jean Antoine, and Deans Ian Robertson and Funso Ayegina, a transformative initiative that has trained and inspired a new generation of Caribbean filmmakers and thinkers since 2006. He has lectured at institutions across the globe, contributed richly to academic discourse, and with Luis Notario, co-edited the groundbreaking work Exploring Caribbean Cinema. As co-founder of Banyan Productions with Christopher Laird and Tony Hall in 1974, Dr. Paddington helped pioneer a thriving and vibrant local television landscape in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider region, producing over 500 films and television programs that vividly document the region's culture, politics, and identity, including the highly influential and fondly remembered Gael and the pioneering soap opera Who the Cap Fits. His work has brought Caribbean stories to the screen and to the world, preserving traditions and igniting conversation. Dr. Paddington's penchant for creativity and imagination has been exemplified by his founding and direction of the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival, serving as the festival director from 2006 to 2019, and the New World Film Center. He has championed the visibility of Caribbean cinema, creating platforms that celebrate regional storytelling and connect it to the global stage. His documentary, The Mennonites of Belize, has been screened at many film festivals and in 2007 received the award as the best cultural and educational program by the Caribbean Broadcasting Union. Dr. Paddington's 2013 documentary, Forward Ever, The Killing of a Revolution, has been screened at festivals worldwide and stands proudly among his other award-winning works as testaments to his commitment to truth, the preservation of historical memory, and the power of film to educate, entertain, inform, and provoke. For his outstanding contribution to Caribbean culture, film, and education, and for a legacy that will inspire for generations to come, we are deeply honored to induct Dr. Bruce Paddington into the CBU Media Hall of Fame.
To present this year's citation and plaque for our first inductee, we invite UNESCO Director for the Caribbean, Mr. Eric Falt, to the stage. The award will be received on behalf of Dr. Paddington by Linda Moore, and we invite Ms. Moore to the stage as well to receive the award. Please keep the round of applause going. And of course, we have a photo opportunity to document this evening's presentation. Thank you, Mr. Falt. And Ms. Linda Moore will now respond on behalf of Dr. Paddington.
Thank you, Mr. Falt. Prime Minister Motley, I'm delighted to accept this award for Dr. Bruce Paddington, who has provided a few words for me to say on his behalf to thank the CBU for this honor. There are many people that I would like to thank for their contribution over the years to my work and to Banyan. Many years ago, I had the privilege of interviewing Dr. William Delmas, who was a champion of Caribbean integration and the role of indigenous mass media, especially television. I was inspired by other pioneers, such as Professor Aggrey Brown from Jamaica, who contended that the Caribbean was the region in the world most penetrated by foreign mass media. Also, Rafiq Khan from Guyana, who assisted Banyan tremendously with production grants from UNESCO, including for the seminal series Caribbean Eye, a comprehensive series on Caribbean culture. I would also like to mention a documentary I made with Dr. Sharon Marshall of the CBU on the once thriving banana industry. I was privileged to have the opportunity to work as a judge for the CBU Media Awards for several years. Finally, I do wish to thank the many filmmakers and scholars who contributed to my research for my PhD thesis in Caribbean cinema. I am honored indeed to receive this award from the CBU, and thank you most sincerely.
Congratulations to Dr. Paddington. Thank you, Linda Moore. And now to read the citation for our second inductee, please welcome Ms. Dion John, General Manager of the National Broadcasting Corporation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A round of applause for Ms. John.
Good evening. The Caribbean Broadcasting Union is proud to induct Christopher Laird into the CBU Media Hall of Fame in recognition of his visionary leadership, pioneering spirit, and lifelong dedication to Caribbean media, culture, and storytelling. A trailblazer in the region's broadcasting and filmmaking history, Christopher Laird has spent over 4 decades shaping the Caribbean audiovisual landscape. As co-founder and managing director of Banyan Limited, he has produced more than 300 groundbreaking documentaries, dramas, and television programs that have brought the voices, faces, and experiences of the Caribbean to screens across the region and beyond. His fearless advocacy for culture is well known, especially in his persistence in the production of content in the face of the infamous banning of the Banyan by the then management of what was then known as Trinidad and Tobago Television, TTT, in 1976. As a teacher, writer, producer, and creative force of nature, Laird took the fledgling collective of audiovisual pioneers from humble beginnings in workshops and classrooms to the modern powerhouse that is Banyan Productions. From his early beginnings in theater and publishing to his foundational role in the Banyan Workshop and the creation of the region's first television soap opera, Who the Cap Fits, Laird has been at the forefront of using media as a tool for cultural expression, education, and social commentary. In 1981, along with Dr. Bruce Paddington and Tony Hall, he co-founded Banyan Limited, the first independent television production company in the Caribbean, helping to professionalize regional production and create an enduring archive of Caribbean life. A passionate advocate for preserving regional heritage, Laird, along with Errol Fabian, established the Caribbean Film and Video Archive, one of the most comprehensive collections of Caribbean audiovisual material in existence. In 2003, he further cemented his legacy by co-founding Gael, the Channel, the Caribbean's first free-to-air all-Caribbean television station, giving a secure home to Caribbean voices. Throughout his career, Christopher Laird has remained committed to nurturing talent, advancing indigenous storytelling, and ensuring that Caribbean people see themselves reflected with dignity, authenticity, and pride. His work has been recognized with numerous awards, including an honorary doctorate from the University of the West Indies and the Caribbean Tales Lifetime Achievement Award. For his indelible contribution to Caribbean media, his unmatched commitment to cultural preservation, and his role in creating and maintaining a broadcasting legacy that will stand the test of time, we are honored to welcome Christopher Laird into CBU Media Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Ms. John. And to present this year's citation and plaque to Mr. Laird, we invite Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Amor-Motley, to the stage. Please keep the applause going. Thank you, Prime Minister Motley, and Mr. Laird will now respond.
Thank you very much. Good evening, the very Honorable Prime Minister, her cabinet colleagues, distinguished guests, other colleagues, CBU. It's a great and cherished honor to accept this award. 40 years ago, Banyan, as an independent television content producer, became an associate member of the CBU. Over the years, we participated in dozens of CBU and regional media conferences where I made a great nuisance of myself, persistently agitating for increased local media content. Frustrated by lack of progress, we established the region's first free-to-air 100% Caribbean content television station as proof of purpose, for we have to see ourselves and the world through our own eyes. Guile the channel. 20 years later, viewers throughout the region can still be assured of seeing themselves when they tune in to the station. Apart from having produced over 500 international and regionally proclaimed television productions in the last half-century, Banyan has also established the largest digitized video archive of Caribbean culture and society in existence, an invaluable resource for future generations. It was as the CEO of Guile that I represented the station as a full member of the CBU. When I received the news of this award this year, I was a bit surprised at first, since I had considered us a Johnny-come-lately, members among industry veterans, minnows in a sea of sharks. It is said that the greatest prize is one awarded by one's peers. I accept this award in that light, but to me at the time, I was a dwarf among venerable giants in our industry. To have received an award from the CBU now implies that I am considered a peer, a comrade. So I am tempted to adapt the saying to read, one of the greatest awards one can receive is to be considered an equal among giants. For that, I am truly touched, and I will hold this award close. Thank you, CBU. Thank you to all my colleagues in the industry who have considered me worthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Laird. And so, by honoring the remarkable contributions of our inductees, the CBU Hall of Fame selection panel encourages the continued pursuit of excellence within Caribbean media. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a final round of applause to our 2025 Caribbean Media Hall of Fame members, Dr. Bruce Paddington and Mr. Christopher Laird. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Hackett. I believe you have an assignment to finish. That's to be graded.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we move gently along to a special presentation and vote of thanks. And at this time, I'd like to call Ms. Marlene Couillard to the stage.
Thank you very much, and what an honor to be here and to follow the recognition of such amazing leaders in the media. I want to start off by saying that we'll be diverting with a very special presentation at this time. Honored guests, members of the CBU Hall of Fame, media executives, and practitioners from around the Caribbean, and friends of Caribbean media. the board of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union has a special presentation to make at this time. And so I would like to call on my president and fellow board members to join us on stage, to join me on stage. We would also like our Secretary General, Ms. Sonia Gill, to join us on stage. At this opening ceremony of the 56th Annual General Assembly of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, we pause to recognize a leader whose service has strengthened Caribbean media and inspired our collective mission. CBU Secretary General Sonia D. Gill is an attorney at law, admitted to the bars of Barbados and Jamaica, and a proud daughter of Caribbean media. Having served as a broadcast journalist and producer at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, her path of service took her into media regulation and policy as Assistant Executive Director of the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica, then into international development as Assistant Resident Representative and Governance Advisor with the United Nations Development Program. In 2014, SG, as we affectionately call her, became the first woman appointed Secretary General of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, leading from 2014 to 2018 and returning to office in 2021. Under her tenure, the CBU has deepened partnerships, advanced capacity building, expanded training opportunities, and championed the protection and promotion of Caribbean content. Through the challenges of the post-COVID era, her work has been nothing short of outstanding. Her dedication, flexibility, and laser focus on the CBU's mission, coupled with her strong coordination and development partners and other allies, she has kept the organization steady. Even amidst unexpected directorship changes and key transitions in recent years, her hand has provided continuity, clarity, and resolve. This contribution has helped to keep us glued to our shared purpose. The CBU board has not only noticed her go above and beyond, but deeply appreciated her unwavering service. And so, it is our great honor to present SG Sonia Gill with an Outstanding Service Award. And let me just add, what makes this moment even more special is that today we present it to her on her birthday. A fitting celebration of her life, her leadership, and her lasting impact on Caribbean media. We got you. SG, on behalf of the CBU and the people of the Caribbean you have so faithfully served, thank you. And now, I have the distinct pleasure of briefly expressing our sincere appreciation to those who made this evening's wonderful event possible. There is no question that our keynote speaker, Prime Minister of Barbados, Honorable Mia Amor Motley, as usual, provided a thought-provoking address. We heard your message. Play our part, preserve the memories as one Caribbean family. This sets a great tone for further deliberations tomorrow. We're also honored to have heard from our longtime partner, UNESCO, in the person of the recently appointed representative to the Caribbean, Mr. Eric Fault. I want to especially thank Mr. Christopher Laird, new inductee to the CBU Hall of Fame, as well as Ms. Linda Moore, who accepted the award on behalf of Dr. Bruce Paddington. Dr. Paddington, I do hope you were able to join us remotely. Our thanks to Dr. Livingston White, Deputy Chair of the Hall of Fame panel, who, as always, expertly guided us through the induction ceremony. And our MC for this evening, Mr. Crispin Hackett. You have been the witty and sparkling glue that bound together the evening, and I echo your A+. To my president, the chair of the CBU Board of Directors, your warm welcome to your home country of Barbados truly made all of us who traveled to this venture from near and far feel appreciated. Before I close this list, there are a couple of players behind the scenes without whom we would not have had this successful event. Thank you to the Barbados Government Information Service, which partnered with UWITV to ensure that those who could not be here in person still enjoyed, albeit remotely. They worked with other members of the local organizing committee, including national broadcaster, the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, and Starcom Network, helmed by our president, for the planning and preparation for tonight and the entire AGA. And finally, let me recognize publicly the focal point and coordinator from the Ministry of Home Affairs and Information, Mrs. Gillian Brathwaite, who diligently and pleasantly made sure this event, hosted by the government of Barbados, came together smoothly. It is my sincere hope that you, our esteemed guests, those physically in this space and those joining us on television and digital platforms, have truly enjoyed our 56th AGA Opening Ceremony. But more importantly, we hope it has deepened your understanding of not only how well Barbados and all the Caribbean punches above its weight, but also your understanding of the critical role our Caribbean media play in the advancement of our Caribbean region. I thank you all.
And so we go. We're almost towards the end of it all, indeed. And so folks and they are celebrating tonight, really, the contribution of media across the Caribbean, as we do too from the outside once again. And really, we have to acknowledge that each one of us plays a part as media to the development of people and the places we call home. You know, as mentioned there, this was a joint cooperation between the major media houses in Barbados. I'm from the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
And I'm still doing the stint at Starcom Network. So we really are coming together to produce this event and to make sure that it is one of the best CBU AGAs ever. I, Joe Ford, say that.
And I, Pearson Boyd, second that indeed. And so to all
before
of
we go, I just want to say I'm really grateful and happy I am to see Sonia get her flowers.
Yes.
She is an amazing person. If you get to know her, she knows media at all. She started off at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, working in news, and she's continued to support media in all of her different spheres and throughout her career. Really, really well deserved.
And leading by example, because she was really one of the best anchors of the news. I've tried my best to at least walk in one of her shoes. But we try our best to do so every day as broadcasters across the region to bring you the absolute best of who we are as a people, to tell the stories that make a difference to you, and to help you see yourselves as potential for the rest of the world to take hold of. You know, and that's one of the reasons why CariFest is on here, Caribbean Roots Global Excellence. And I think once we as broadcasters truly embrace the reality that we offer some of the best content delivered in some of the most telling stories and telling ways, that we truly begin to see ourselves exactly as who we are.
Very well said, Pearson. And on that note, this is where we wrap up. We hope you enjoyed watching the opening ceremony and induction into the Hall of Fame of the 56th Annual Caribbean Broadcasting Union's Annual General Assembly. We enjoyed bringing it to you, and we hope that you continue to enjoy the rest of your evening.